Welcome to this Physicians Anonymous Grand Round, held on September 3rd, 2025. Physicians Anonymous is the only free, confidential, and anonymous peer support platform for physicians and medical students. By providing safe spaces, we reduce physician burnout, isolation, and suicide. We are a registered 501c3 not-for-profit. Today's talk is titled HumanFirst, Contemplative Skills for Clinicians, and is presented by Doctors Nancy Lanphear, Robin Obenchain, and Wendy Wallskog. Enjoy.
Thank you, Dominic. I would just say that we are super excited to just really be in conversation with folks. So you've already been introduced to us. So I think we're going to arrive. We're going to make sure that we're all here and can let go of some of the busyness of our days, maybe. I may be a bit distracted, and I am, Dominic suggested or encouraged me gave me permission to share this, but I do have my mother has dementia, and she's fallen out of bed in the last day a couple of times, and so things are brewing. She's very far away from me, but if I get a phone call, I will probably take it and let one of my colleagues keep talking. So let's arrive.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We know time is a precious and non-renewable resource, and it means a lot to us, and we're very grateful that you took the time to be here. So let's take a few minutes to arrive here now together. Where is your physical body? Are you at work, at home, in a car, somewhere else? Look around. What do you see? People, plants, pets, colors, textures. Can you hear anything? Is it in your space or further away? What does one breath feel like? An inhale and an exhale. Where is the focus of your mind, your attention? We've all had full days of doing, taking care of responsibilities, solving problems, navigating life's unexpected events. It takes a moment to shift from doing to being. Allow your mind, heart, and spirit to catch up with where your physical body is without needing to evaluate or change anything that's here now. Be here now. Everything belongs. Because we've had full days and it's in the evening, and how the kind of day we had impacts how we show up, we like to start with a 2-word check-in. And this is your permission slip to arrive as is and share 2 words about how you're feeling in this moment without getting any feedback. There's no wrong answers or inappropriate words, and you're not required to share. I'll begin and then leave open space for a minute or so for people to unmute and share their 2 words. If you don't feel like sharing, feel free to put your words in the chat or simply stay silent. So my 2 words are grounded and grateful.
I'll go next. My 2 words are I'm a little overwhelmed. And quiet.
My 2 words are worried and distracted.
From here, my two words are tired and excited.
My two words are fatigued and stressed.
I would say I am distracted, but happy.
I'm Yensa. I'm feeling exhausted and still a little curious.
I'd say nervous and hopeful.
I'd say challenged and apprehensive.
Well, everything is welcome. Thank you for being here, and we'll move on.
So I want to chat a little bit about what we hope to cover in the next little while. We want to introduce contemplative medicine as an idea, and it's grounded in, quite honestly, physicians or healthcare providers who are in the business of service, caring for others, and also how do we bring contemplative practices into that merger? So we'll each share how contemplative medicine has influenced us, partly how we got there, and we'll do another experience of mindfulness, because we believe that, we may all be physicians and have some expertise, but if you know the terms that people use around meditation and yoga and things, is you're always practicing. None of us are full experts. We're all learning. We'll do a little review of mindfulness related to burnout in the literature. Hopefully we'll have some time for discussion, and then we'll talk a little bit about the course that we put together. That is a taste of contemplative practices. So this is a slide put together by a friend, Cynthia Rivera, who is one of our colleagues in our Contemplative Medicine Fellowship. And it's pulling on a lot of people's work. But if you think about the era of distress is how most of us start in medicine. We're expected to be superhuman. We, of course, have to be perfect and make no errors. There's no limit to the amount of work we could do, and that many expect us to do. Many of us, we may shower, but there's probably other areas of self-care that we are letting go of. And it often leads to burnout and isolation, because to meet those qualities and to have no errors means that we're often hiding things from ourselves or others, as we can't possibly meet that inflated expectation. We've all sat through lots of different wellness courses and things, and hospitals have often tried to provide opportunities for us to learn and have some insight into that. And so there's different terms for that: work-life balance, finding resilience. All of those are great, and we're not that's part of the journey, that you're finding these qualities. So that is the first step of being aware of where many of us have gotten to in medicine, even if it's may have taken us years to get there. The framework of contemplative medicine that we were trained in and come from is that really that you can't have two separate lives. You can't have your personal life and a professional life. You have to have some integration across that, because as Wendy said at the very beginning, we show up with all of the things that are happening to us in our life. My mother is ill. It's going to be in the back of my mind. And that doesn't make me a bad doctor. It means I'm a human being. That there is a vulnerability, and that having a way to practice and remind ourselves of that vulnerability, that humanness, is important. To learn to have compassion for ourselves and others. We've been often taught to have it for others and to subjugate ourselves, and we would say that that's something that we all came to in contemplative medicine. Finding meaning and purpose in our work again, and similar to Physicians Anonymous, a deep held belief that it is the shared experience, it is the community, it is the caring for each other and the mutual support that is essential to this practice. Robin? Is she there, Wendy? Uh-oh, you're muted.
Are you muted, Robin?
Oh, she just dropped off. Oh, I just brought her back in. So we'll let her get Robin, are you back for real?
Let's see here. Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
You're
My computer decided to upgrade and restart, so welcome to the real world, right?
awesome.
Well, glad to be.
Now we're just at the point of talking about
Yeah.
potentially how we met.
Yeah, so so grateful to have met Nancy and Wendy through a fellowship that the three of us did together, called the Contemplative Medicine Fellowship out of the New York Zen Center for Contemplative Care in Manhattan. And that program actually it was the first year that they actually opened up their contemplative care practice to just medical people. And we were in a group of probably around 30 people, physicians, nurse practitioners, and physician's assistants. And it was a year-long course where we met monthly via Zoom, where we would have like one whole day of kind of experiential conversation and a lot of sharing, and really a lot of processing. It was obviously it's the New York Zen Center. It was run by two lovely Buddhist monks, and so there was a definite maybe Buddhist flair to the training. But for me, it was definitely a place where I could find community, and coming together in that way, finding community with Wendy and Nancy was a huge part of the experience for me. And we'll circle back a little bit to some of the things we learned through the fellowship, but what we wanted to do a little bit now is to maybe introduce ourselves a little bit further and to maybe give you an idea of kind of what brought us to the program, what we learned during the program, and maybe really what we took away from the program. And I like Dominic shared, I'm a medical oncologist. I've been one for gosh, over 25 years now. Being in my 50s, I trained at a time where I was like, I'm old, but I trained at a time where things were hard, the way we're processing our emotions and sharing the kind of the hard things about medicine really wasn't part of the curriculum. And but yet enjoyed medicine. I'm so glad and grateful to be a doctor. But came out of that and joined a practice where I worked a little bit and I still continue to do that. Worked a little bit in isolation, a little bit in a silo. And I think for me over the years, I was really looking for, like I said, some community or really to find my tribe. And I being an oncologist, I work a lot with people who are suffering, people who are dying, and over the years, it really took a toll. And I started to look for something else. And one of the first things that I did is I actually did a fellowship in integrative medicine, which turned out not to be what I was looking for. But part of the curriculum there was from these two lovely Buddhist monks from the Zen Center in New York, who introduced the concept of contemplative care. And one of the first exercises that we did, we chose a partner and we sat knee to knee and stared into each other's eyes for 5 minutes without saying a word. And after that was over, I was so moved and so touched by the fact that I connected so deeply to another person that I thought, this might be for me. And I applied to the fellowship that had just opened up for medical personnel. And during my interview, Koshin, one of the monks, said, why are you here? What are you looking for? And I said, gosh, I have no idea. I really don't know. And he said, perfect. You're exactly where you need to be. And so for me, looking for community, searching for what matters most, and finding a way to connect to other people who are doing the same was one of the reasons I came to contemplative care. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Nancy, to talk a little bit about what maybe you brought forward from, or how you experienced the program.
Thanks, Robin.
Yeah.
So I had some experience with meditation in my 20s and got busy, finished my training, and that seemed like a distant past. But the contemplative practice that I really adopted, that I needed, like medicine, was yoga. And so I practiced yoga for years and became a teacher, a yoga teacher, because of course, sometimes you need to be an expert in other things. And then things were falling apart in my life. I had adult children that things were going awry. I had a super risky adolescent and was really just struggling with how could I have lost so much control? I mean, I'm a developmental pediatrician, right? You think I'd be able to handle my own children in a way that I was living the experience of all the patients that had come to me, of kids that were out of control and needy and really struggling with how to be authentic and practice. And a friend of mine said, oh, but what are you doing? And I said, I can't get quiet anymore in yoga. I mean, I couldn't. It was no longer the refuge that it had become. And she said, well, why don't you meditate? And I did. And then I found contemplative care because I was really struggling with, I was an administrator and physician, and I was, this whole yoga teacher meditation thing on the side. And I felt like I sort of checked one and went into the other. And so my journey into contemplative care was to actually figure out how to have one life. I was really feeling a bit split. And the really eye-opening thing that about 6 months into this fellowship, we had to do we were supposed to do a capstone project. And I found myself incredibly angry that I was going to need to show my academic credentials. I was going to have to create something that someone would judge, that I was, it just was like one more step. And I mean, I was like angry enough to be blind to like, I didn't care. I don't think I was offensive, but I was certainly questioning the guiding teachers, like, really, one more thing to be judged on, one more thing to fail at. And then we had a session with a man named Jerry Colonna. And one of the questions he asks people in coaching, executives in coaching, is, how are you complicit in the things that you say you want to change? And it was like, I'm walking to work and my head blew up and I was like, oh my God, I'm an administrator. I'm incredibly complicit. I've tried for years to change systems that are unchangeable, but I can choose to walk away. And so the fellowship, the contemplative practices actually gave me the ability to sit in that anger, to sit in my feelings of frustration about my work, and to make changes for myself, be a mentor to some of the younger colleagues as they were struggling, and to retire and to come up with a private practice so I could feel like I could be my authentic self. I could be a doctor that talks about meditation. I could be a doctor who says, hey, this is how maybe you could think about a strategy. So that's, I would say, I needed to learn how to sit with strong emotions that didn't need to be pretty. Wendy.
Thank you, Nancy. So I work as I have notes because I don't really like public speaking, and I want to make sure I say everything that I want to say. I work as a 1099 anesthesiologist in Minneapolis at a level 1 trauma center and a busy community OB hospital. And spoiler alert, before the fellowship, I was a partner and I was eventually the president of my private practice group. And the biggest change that I have made since the fellowship is to give up my partnership, which enabled me to change my work hours that support me living a balanced, meaningful life, both personally and professionally. My meditation practice started when I was in residency. It was my last year, and I started having panic attacks. Of course, I didn't know what they were, even though I'm a doctor, but I felt the impending doom, tachycardia, shortness of breath, pre-syncope. And after my clean and clear workup in the emergency room, I went to my primary care doctor, and I'll never forget what she said. She said, "Your mind is playing tricks on you." And she recommended very gently and supportively that I try meditating along with other things. So I did, and I started with guided visualizations and practices. It was 15 minutes, and I chose to do them after work, like going from work to my home life. And I looked forward to doing them because every time after, I felt better than compared to when I had started. And after several, I didn't expect any other benefits. And after several months, I noticed an effect during stressful situations in the operating room. Time felt slower. My mind was clearer, and it was easier for me to see the big picture. So I've been meditating regularly since. And I find mindfulness and meditation practice a lot like exercise. Only I can do it. No one can do it for me. Thinking about it is not enough. I actually have to practice, and repetition helps build the skills I so desire. And when I stop practicing frequently, the old physical sensations come up and the repetitive, unhelpful thoughts creep in again. So I signed up for the fellowship when I was feeling miserable, angry, and exhausted. I was looking back at my life, and I had put all this energy climbing a ladder that I thought would or could guarantee happiness, fulfillment, ease. But when I looked at my life, I felt like I was in hell. I knew I couldn't keep doing the same thing, but I didn't know how to change, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if this fellowship would help, but I was willing to try it because I was at the end of my rope. And I did the same integrative medicine fellowship as Robin, so I knew the 3 guiding teachers, and it was my favorite part of that curriculum. So I thought, heck, give it a try. And like Robin said, and I think Nancy alluded to, what I found in the fellowship was community. People with similar struggles, wanting to do life, including their careers differently. And at first, nothing changed externally. As I was going through this fellowship month by month, I kept going to the same practice, same types of patients, same colleagues, rigorous hours. But my experience of it changed because I was bringing more than just my head to work. I used to act like a robot. But in the fellowship, I was encouraged and invited to start bringing my head and heart into my practice. At the end of the year, I felt like a more whole, integrated human, just like Nancy had said. And I was able to lean on curiosity, compassion, and connection with more ease and frequency. I still rely on what I learned in the fellowship and I keep practicing. For example, last week, almost a week ago, there was gun violence at a school in Minneapolis. And I was going to work the next day in the morning and I hadn't slept well. I had a very heavy heart. I felt off. My jaw was tight. Excuse me. My breathing was shallow. My stomach was in knots and I was really uncomfortable. Before the fellowship, I might not have even noticed the physical sensations in my body. My mind would have distracted me, like reliving the past, worrying about the future, judging myself, scrolling my phone. Often when I'm changing radio stations without thinking, I notice like, oh, this is me trying to get away from something. But when I noticed I was off, I simply named it. Oh, I'm feeling tense. I brought my attention to the present moment and specifically what I could see and feel. There was an incredible pink sunrise that morning, and I had my window down. I was feeling like the cool fall breeze that's in Minnesota right now. I kept being curious because that's what I had learned in the fellowship. What sensations are happening in my body? I asked myself. I took slow, conscious breaths and I sent love to people hurting, grieving, and scared. I happened to get to work early that day, so I set an alarm for 20 minutes and I thought, I'm just going to close my eyes and focus on breathing and observing what was happening. Here's the tricky part, to do that without judging myself or trying to fix it. My mind wandered, and when it did, I brought my attention back to here, now, this car, breath by breath, emotion by emotion, body part by body part. After 15 minutes, I opened my eyes before my alarm went off, and I felt calmer, more relaxed, and ready to start the day. I didn't go in trying to change what was happening, but by just observing and allowing and befriending what was there, it changed. I was surprised at what a significant change I had by being with what was in the moment and not forcing it to be different. Now, on another day, I might have been running late or not had the energy to be curious or chose to distract or isolate myself. But after the fellowship, I do have skills and experience to try something when I'm feeling vulnerable, uncomfortable, and it feels hard. Thanks for listening.
So as we did this fellowship, we were part of the inaugural class. As Robin said, there were about 30 of us. And, as physicians do, the Tirone Low Dog was like, we actually have to study you all because, in medicine, we have to prove things. We have to have evidence. Even though we think this is the right move, two of the individuals listed in this paper, and Annie and Deirdre, were both medicine colleagues, also doing the same journey as we were. And so they did all of the burnout questionnaires and things to sort of look at before and after. So very simple design. How were we at the beginning? How were we at the end? It is available to get, but there was significant improvement in all three scales of a very traditional burnout inventory: emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and that sense of personal accomplishment, which was the highest level of change within the group. What was important to us is, one, we were all super excited that our colleagues did this, but it was one of those things that it wasn't a surprise, because I think we felt it, and how we got to wanting to share this information with folks was not everyone can do a fellowship, but you can have a taste of these practices and begin to dive into it. So Robin's going to talk a little bit about mindfulness. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Thank you. We were, as Nancy was pointing out, you know, there is a little bit of research. There has been a little bit of research in the past about mindfulness in medicine, about mindfulness and burnout resiliency, and luckily there's a lot more going on. And you know, the three of us felt that the purpose of our meeting today, our meeting with you in our presentation, was not really to present all the research, but to say, luckily that research is there, because at least for me and my training, like, it wasn't there, and we weren't able to take advantage of what we know now. And so having these research studies, having these programs that are becoming available, having the intention of trying to help the next group of doctors coming up is so infinitely important. But it makes sense. Like, it just, at least from my heart, it just makes sense. I know if I find stillness, I'm going to have a better day in clinic. You know, I know if I can lean on my friends or join in with community, I'm going to be more likely to come back to work the next day a little more grounded. You know, and I know if I can lean into compassion, maybe a little more than I've leaned into empathy over the years, then I can sit with the next person who sits in front of me who's dying, and I don't totally fall apart, and I don't totally take it home. So as we appreciate the research, and we are more than happy to share all the articles and information that we have with you guys, I think our take-home point is that mindfulness helps burnout, period, for so many different ways. And to give you guys a little bit of a taste of that, a little bit of what we do in our program, HumanFirst, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, I'm going to turn it over to Wendy, who can lead us through an exercise, an experience, just to get our feet wet just a little bit with maybe some things that we can bring forward in our day. She alluded to it a little bit in what she was talking about first. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Wendy, to guide us through.
Thank you, Robin. So we're going to do a body scan together. And if your camera is on and you'd like to turn it off, please feel free to do so. I'll be looking down at a script. Also muting is a-okay. Sometimes this can be so relaxing that people fall asleep. And so if we hear a little snort, I'm going to think that things are going very well. To start the body scan, I'm going to ask you to find a comfortable position and allow your eyes to close. If you do not feel comfortable closing your eyes, let your gaze fall downward to a place on the floor. Bring your attention to any sounds you hear. Then notice the silence in this room. Notice the difference between the sound outside, if there is any, and the silence in the room. Notice the temperature. Become aware of the weight of your body. Notice the weight of your body as it makes contact to the chair, sofa, or floor. Allow yourself to really sink in, almost like a dead weight, but more conscious of your body. I'd like you to become aware of your toenails. Can you bring your consciousness not to your feet or your toes, but your toenails? Your big toenails. Now become aware of your toes. Perhaps there is a stiffness in your joints. Become aware of the tops of your feet, the soles of your feet. Bring your awareness up to your ankles. Just rest there a moment with your awareness in your feet. Maybe there's tingling, aching, tightness. Perhaps you feel nothing. Nothing is something. On your next in-breath, imagine breathing all the way down to the tips of your toes, filling your feet with air, bringing a lightness. Now bring your awareness to your ankles and move up your legs to your shin bones and around the back to your calf muscles. Notice the difference in the quality of the shin bone, the solid mass up front, compared to the calf muscle. Imagine the muscle softening, maybe widening, relaxing tension. Move on up your legs to your knees. Many of us have knee problems, maybe clicking or meniscus arthritis issues. Bring your awareness to your knees as they are now, and just notice what you're feeling. Notice the front of your knee and move your attention around to the back. On your next in-breath, imagine bringing air to the kneecaps, opening that area up, softening. See if you can really feel from your knees down to your toes a relaxed pair of legs, and yet at the same time, a grounded connection. Bring your awareness from your knees to your thighs. Again, noticing any physical sensations. Maybe there's spasms or tension you're holding. Bring your awareness to your seat. Notice where you connect to what's supporting you. Specifically your hips, pelvis, moving into this wide structure, these big bones. Allow yourself again to soften, to feel the connection to the chair. On the next in-breath, imagine the breath opening up this whole pelvic area, expanding, bringing a lightness, and at the same time, remaining grounded. Notice your lower back. From the tip of your tailbone, move up to your lower back. See if you can envision your spine, bone by bone, moving up slowly, giving each vertebrae attention. If you need to breathe into any of the connections there, imagine breathing in space and lightness to the bone and its surrounding tissues, releasing any tension. Take your time. Move up to your mid-spine. Breathing into any of the bones or connections. Bringing in space and lightness. On your next in-breath, notice your rib cage as it expands. The lungs fill with air, the rib cage expands. Notice any tightness in the chest or other sensations you feel. On the next in-breath, imagine really expanding your ribs a little wider. Move back around to the spine and move to your shoulder blades. Notice your shoulders. On your next in-breath, imagine the air moving across the shoulders, down through your arms to your elbows. Bring your awareness to your elbows, those joints. We're often unaware of them until we bang them on a corner and realize how tender they can be. Move from your elbows down to your wrists, from your wrists through your fingers to your fingertips. See if you can become aware of your fingernails. On your next in-breath, imagine the breath moving along the shoulder blades, down your arms to your fingertips, filling your lungs, expanding your ribs, moving all the way down your spine to your pelvis, down your legs, to your knees, to your toes, really opening your body, releasing any tension. Allow yourself to be buoyant. Bring your awareness to your skull, the whole thing, the case that contains the brain. It protects your eyes, the working of your ears. Notice how heavy your head is and the fact that we carry it around all day. As you breathe in through your nostrils, imagine filling your entire skull cavity with lightness as you breathe in. Really allow the sense of your skull to become less heavy. Any sounds you might hear, just allow them to be. Now, allow yourself to just totally relax into each breath. Inhalation, exhalation. Be fully present to your body, to this space, this moment, allowing everything to be just as it is. In your own time, bring yourself back into the room where you are. Move your toes, your hands, and when you're ready, on your own time, gently open your eyes. Thank you for practicing with me.
Thank you, Wendy. That was so good. So, we'll take a moment or two if anyone has any thoughts about the experience they'd like to share. If not, that's fine. But we'll leave a moment or two for anyone to comment, maybe how that changed your mindset or your physical being.
Really helped me, sorry, it's Nora. It really helped me be more present. I was feeling very distracted, and it really brought me back into the moment. Oh, thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Here, I really like that, the ability to really focus on parts of my body I never think about, like my toenails. Really powerful, because they're there and they do a great job. I never appreciated them as much as the last few minutes. Thank you for that.
Thank you for sharing. And this is just a little bit of a taste of what we do in our sessions that we do together. Wendy and Nancy and I formed a group called HumanFirst, because we really want to be human first before we are medical people. We want to be true to who we are. And Nancy, if you'll move the slide a little bit for me. We are HumanFirst. How we operate is we have a course where we have 8 sessions that encompass topics that include pausing, generous listening, sitting with suffering, leaning into grief, trying to find joy, practicing delight. And really what it is it's a circle of people coming together to process life. And we have another course that's opening on September 17th, just this month. We do have CME credit available, if that is important to anyone. And we welcome you to go to our website. It's pauselistenheal.com. And yeah, we'd welcome anyone who would want to join, or anyone that you think might benefit from this type of experience. And I know Nancy has a couple closing thoughts, and then we'd like to open it up to questions. I think we might have a minute or two. So Nancy, I'm going to pass that back to you.
So I think one of the posing thought, just thanks to Cynthia Rivera, it was helpful to get some slides to start from. But this quote came from a Spirit Rock email and meditation center. True practice doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in the middle of our messy, beautiful lives. And I think I'm 62. There's a lot that I kept thinking, well, I'll do that when, I'll do that in the future. I just got to get through this, right? We all survived our training by, I just need to do this for a month. And at the end of the day, it's like, this is it. This is our life. So I think figuring out how as physicians to muddle through it is probably the thing that we most are excited about, so that we can continue to work and we can continue to be human. So this was our class. This was our group, our guiding teachers, Dr. Lodog, Koshin, and Chodo, and these are all just these other beautiful physicians, midwife, nurse practitioner, and PA, and we all came in, I would say, mostly fairly broken. We were all looking for something, and I think we were all surprised at it was finally the Sangha, the community, that saved us, along with a lot of work and practice and things. But I would say the community is what has been a continuation.
Thank you for attending our Physicians Anonymous Grand Round titled HumanFirst Contemplative Skills for Clinicians. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to make a donation to help reduce physician suicide, please check out physiciansanonymous.org, sign up for our mailing list, and watch out for more grand rounds coming soon.